So back in the winter of 1998, I began hearing rumors and rumblings around my 6th grade elementary school. A seminal event in the history of gaming was upon us, the first time I'd ever heard a game described as the game of the century, which, at that time, was the entire history of gaming. That game in question, of course, was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which became my introduction to the series. What more can be said about this game? It pioneered ideas in 3D exploration and combat that continue to influence the industry today, while telling a poignant, music-driven story accompanied by one of Koji Kondo's greatest soundtracks. With Nintendo announcing a brand new, ground-up remake for Switch 2, this feels like the perfect time to revisit this groundbreaking classic, see how well it still holds up today, and maybe even catch a few details that hint at what we might see in the remake. Without further ado, let's start with the title screen. This title screen is absolutely iconic. It's just like, we're seeing things here, like in terms of atmosphere and like mood, they really hadn't quite seen from Nintendo before. And even in the Legend of Zelda series itself, we have just Link riding on Epona, and then just the quiet of dawn as the sun like gradually rises, and we see the color change and transition. The title itself is just the design with like the flaming on the logo itself, and then the tune itself, the ocarina. Now, one thing I did want to point out is that I think this is kind of a variation on like the original flute melody that you hear in the first Legend of Zelda, the one that you use to warp everywhere. And man, it's just still it grips you right from the very start. And I just can't wait to get into this properly here. All right. Da, 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 da. This tune right here, of course, is one that has been used since Link to the Past, which was the last major Zelda. And something we'll see a lot in Ocarina of Time is that Link to the Past was kind of like the musical foundation of the entire series afterwards, with a lot of tunes from A Link to the Past being used in Ocarina of Time. We shall begin. In the vast, deep forests of Hyrule, long have I served as the guardian spirit. I am known as the Deku Tree. The children of the forest, the Kokiri, live here with me. Each Kokiri has his or own guardian fairy. However, there is one boy who does not have a fairy. Already, just cool mood and atmospherics is like as he's sleeping at nighttime there. Almost feels a little spooky from the outset as he's about to have this nightmare here, showing what's going to lay before him. Navi, Navi, where art thou? Come hither. Oh, Navi, the fairy, listen to my words, the words of the Deku Tree. Dost thou sense it, the climate of evil descending upon this realm? Malevolent forces even now are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule. For so long, the Kokiri Forest, the source of life, has stood as a barrier, deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. But before this tremendous evil power, even my power is as nothing. It seems the time has come for the boy without a fairy to begin his journey. The youth whose destiny it is to lead Hyrule to the path of justice and truth. Navi, go now, find our young friend and guide him to me. I do not have much time left. Fly, Navi, fly! The fate of the world, the fate of the forest, nay, the world depends upon thee. And again, just impressing you with cinematography here. I mean, of course in Super Mario 64 we had some like cool camera shots and things like that, but they just take it even further in Ocarina of Time with this first-person perspective of Navi flying all around the forest, and you get already just a big view of this whole village that Link lives in. I love that he's just looking around trying to find this place, and then bonk.
Hello, Link! Wake up! The Great Deku Tree wants to talk to you! Link, get up!
You're cold, why don't you get a blanket there?
Hey, come on! Can Hyrule's destiny really depend on such a lazy boy? You finally woke up! I'm Navi the Fairy. The Great Deku Tree asked me to be your partner from now on. Nice to meet you. The Great Deku Tree has summoned you, so let's get going right now.
And here we have Link's room. Just nice little thing. Details like you can clearly see, you know, the rings of the tree showing the age of it, and then like you have, I think later on you get some like notes and such. But like he's got his food over here. Looks like a little little sink. And then you can switch to perspectives as well, so you can get a closer view. It's interesting though, these aren't really so much like, this isn't different camera perspective, these are two different renders at different angles. One of the 360 view, one above the sink. Is that a mirror? It's a very dusty mirror, and he has all his tools. Kokiri Forest. I love how you can see life. You know, they say this is like the wellspring of life, and you can see like life almost just floating around.
Yahoo! Hi, Link! Wow! A fairy! Finally, a fairy came to you, Link. Wow! That's great news! I'm so happy for you. Now, you're a true Kokiri, Link. I can't talk today. Is that right? The Great Deku Tree has summoned you? It's quite an honor to talk to the Great Deku Tree. I'll wait for you here. Get going. Go see the Great Deku Tree.
Link's house. Oh, good to know. Good to know. We have the little monster drawings. I'd like to think that Link himself, you know, etched those in when he was smaller and such. Dun 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 dun. It's going to be talked about over and over again this playthrough, just like how amazingly good Koji Kondo's work is on this game. So good. Hey you, Mr. No Fairy, what's your business with the Great Deku Tree? Without a fairy, you're not even a real man. What? You've got a fairy? Say what? The Great Deku Tree actually summoned you? What? Why would he summon you and not the Great Mido? This isn't funny. I don't believe it. You aren't even fully equipped yet. How do you think you're going to help the Great Deku Tree without both a sword and shield ready? What? You're right, I don't have my equipment ready, but if you want to pass through here, you should at least equip a sword and shield. Sheesh. And there we have Mido, the self-appointed leader of sorts of the Kokiri.
The Great Deku Tree has summoned you. Please come with me.
Well, we tried going this way, but it looks like we need at least a sword and a shield.
Hi, Link. Look this way. Look over here with Z, and talk to me with A.
And then thus we have our first tutorial of Z targeting.
Yes, that's how you use a fairy. It's so great that you finally have a fairy partner. I'll teach you how to talk to people using your fairy. When a fairy flies near a person or thing, press Z to look in that direction. If you use Z targeting, you can talk to people from a distance, like we're doing now. When you have nothing that you can target, you can press Z
Just to look for it. Try it. But yes, again, and they use the targeting. The fairy, of course, is your companion, but it's like they use that as the focal point of the Z targeting. Whatever it flies to is something that you can target. So that makes a practical solution for how to target things. Like whatever it flies to, that's what you can press Z on. Welcome! He's a little too short for this. We sell shields, but not swords. 40 rupees? Yeah, we're gonna need to save up some funds here. This shop, it sells things you can get in the forest for free. Do you know how to use the Deku shield? She's a little giggly. When you get the shield, press start to get into the subscreen, blah blah blah. I kinda are. We know that stuff. This is not our first rodeo. I love this song. There's like a harmony that goes in with the mariachi trumpets at there that I just love when they all comes together. Da 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 da. Good stuff. We need 35 more rupees to buy a shield. Stepping stones in the pond. If you boldly go in the direction you want to jump, you will leap automatically. If you hop around in the stones, you'll become happier. So here, this is the game teaching you about automatic jumping, which is not something that you saw before in games, but it pretty much was what the Zelda series did in 3D for quite a while. Oh, you have a fairy now. That's great, Link. What? You've been called by the Great Deku Tree? What an honor! He may give you a special gift. Tee-hee! That's because the Great Deku Tree is our father, the forest guardian, and he gave life to all of us Kokiri. I just pulled the plug out of my stinking headphones there. A by the stone, pick it up. A by the stone, pick it up. Meet Ol Mido. He made me pick up the rocks in front of his house. I guess we can help you out a little bit here. Again, you know, natural little tutorials as you progress in the game. We got a little bit of money too. And next one, we're about halfway there to buying a shield. Oh, a fairy finally came to you. Now you have a lot to learn. The best place to go to learn some new skills is in the Forest Training Center. It's on the hill just above here. Na, 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 na. Na, na, na. House of the Know-It-All Brothers. I can teach you about the icons at the top of the screen. Well, let's learn a little about yellow ones. The 3 yellow icons in the upper right are called C icons. They display the things you can use with the C blah blah. Yeah, again, teaching about the C buttons, which was used for assigning items, another handy little feature of this game. If you want to learn about the map and items, just ask me, but don't ask unless you want to skip that there. About the map. There is a map displayed at the bottom right of the screen. Oh, and we got the above head view of this here. Forest Training Center. Don't recklessly cut signs. Read them carefully. Da-na-na-na-na. Thrust attack. I got, and then all this is all good and dandy, but we don't have a sword yet. Switch targeting. If you see an icon above a target, you can target with Z. All right, this is one of the coolest things actually, is being able to switch between targets and then like being able to do different jumps around it. If you do jumps at just the right place at the right places, then you get money. Hey, let's let's work on some moves. To jump sideways while Z-targeting, press A as you move. You can use Z-targeting on the stone next to me, so let's practice. Jump sideways, and again, what the Z-targeting did is that it allowed you to be able to focus on an item and have the camera stay focused on it while you move around it freely, so that you don't have to manually aim at it. Just like extremely innovative new mechanic there. Hole of Z. Let's go through this small hole. Why not? When it shows enter, press A. Hole of Z. I think it's funny. It's just that's just what it's called. Da-na-na-na-na. Ah, yes. So another thing, you can, of course, walk sideways anytime, and to use the Z, they don't really have a... With the N64, the one limitation was, like, somewhat they didn't opt so much for a lot of camera freedom because they wanted to free up the buttons for items, so they instead just kind of kept it simplistic to where camera movement is focused on being able to use Z to focus it behind you, and then Z targeting for anything you want to actually focus on there. Visit the house of the Know-It-All Brothers to get answers to your item-related questions. And we're also just one rupee short of being able to buy that shield there. You got the Kokiri sword! On the equipment subscreen, select it with the cursor and equip it with A. This is a hidden treasure of the Kokiri, but you can borrow it for a while. Be sure to practice with it before you really fight. And we shall go and equip it. And of course, leave it to Nintendo to make something as mundane as cutting grass and make it fun and rewarding, because you might be able to find some money inside. And with that, we have enough money to buy a shield. I'm going to take one brief little detour first because I want to go up to this place. Soraya's house. That meanie Mido made me cut the grass at Soraya's house. Mido told Soraya he would do it so she would like him, but I'm the one doing all the work. You and Soraya are close friends, so will you help me cut the grass? I'll let you keep anything that you find while cutting it. One extra rupee. But yeah, we're going to take a loop and walk in this bridge here. Dun, 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 dun. Hee, you came all the way up here. You're a real man. Look, isn't this view pretty? Change your viewpoint with C up, so you can look around the forest with the control stick. So we shall do that. Again, you know, even visually, I think that there's just so much charm. Oh, that's a very, very close-up look there. Welcome. Just, gosh, you need to. Can I get you a stepping stool or something? You got a Deku shield. Press R to crouch and defend. If you press R while Z targeting, you can move while defending. Do I want to buy anything else? I think we're good. And with that, you know, I have both a sword and a shield. Alright, now with sword and shield in hand, we can now head over to the Great Deku Tree. If you want to see the Great Deku Tree, you should at least equip a sword and shield. Eh? What's that? Oh, you have a Deku shield. And what's that? Is that the Kokiri sword? Good grief! Well, even with all that stuff, a wimp is still a wimp, huh? I, the Great Mido, will never accept you as one of us. Shoot! How did you get to be the favorite of Soraya and the Great Deku Tree, huh? Grumble, grumble. Mido has some insecurities there. And here we have our first enemy encounter, and again, the Z targeting being shown here. And Navi has things to say about every single enemy.
Deku Baba, looks as though it's withered. It will hurt you if you touch it.
You got the Deku stick. On the select item subscreen, you can set it to the C buttons. Of course, the very first enemy encounters, they're going to make it simple, just something that stands around, let you practice the idea of like strafing and walking around it, so pretty simple stuff.
Great Deku Tree, I'm back!
Oh, Navi, thou hast returned. Link, welcome. Listen carefully to what I, the great Deku Tree, am about to tell thee. Thy slumber these past moons must have been restless and full of nightmares. As the servants of evil gain strength, a vile climate pervades the land and causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. Verily, thou hast felt it. I always like the old English aspect to it, you know, just like very kind of like a biblical prose to it. Link, the time has come to test thy courage. I have been cursed. I need you to break the curse with your wisdom and courage. Dost thou have courage enough to undertake this task? Yes. Then enter, brave Link, and thou too, Navi. Navi the fairy, thou must aid Link. And Link, when Navi speaks, you see up to listen well to her words of wisdom. Oh man. Her words of wisdom indeed, which you get to hear quite frequently in this game. Immediate atmosphere, and seeing that spider web up there is just like, it's just like the neatest thing to me. You know, where it's just, you see around, you see these spider webs, you see these like gritty green looking textures in the wall. It feels very earthy, even like up to till today here. You got the Deku Nut. And of course, again, what this game had, of course, was the idea of a C buttons, where you could be able to assign your items. Of course, assigning items is something that could be done before, like with, even from the very original Zelda game, you could pause it, bring down the menu, select a different item to assign. Link's Awakening had that, Link to the Past, but you could usually just assign just one or two things to your buttons. But here we have a variety of selections, and that it's able to expand what the player is able to do at any given time without having to pause and go back there.
Look, Link! You can see down below this web using C up!
You see, there is a room down there below. And that's kind of your first hint as to like where the kind of the puzzle solving is going to go in this game. And the music is so simple yet effective. Koji Kondo, in these dungeon tracks, they didn't really emphasize so much melody as atmosphere. And from the very first dungeon, like that atmosphere is like, it's so palpable, where it's like mysterious, old, and alive, all that at the same time. I think that's really cool. You found the dungeon map. Press start to get into the subscreen and look at the map subscreen. And you get your first introduction as well to maps in 3D, which is, of course, a new concept, you know, for a Zelda game. All maps before, like, they could have multiple levels, of course, but here you have to deal with them also being in 3D as well, which I think they started out basic. A lot of times, over times, that they've been able to expand maps to even make them look 3D, but this is how they got started with that.
Look at this wall! The vines growing on it give it a rough surface. Maybe you can climb it, Link.
I would climb it. But we got these creepy looking skull spider things on the wall. Skullwatula, be careful not to touch it. Okay. So, it gives you an obstacle right here. That's like, okay, this is something, I need a way to get past it, but nothing that I have can allow me to, so we explore a little bit further. And of course, one thing that they did address in the 3DS version is like having like being able to speed through most of the text, especially when you're replaying it, because this is like you have to just kind of let it scroll at its full speed there. But they'll probably even like delve into that further make the streamline the introduction there. We have a Deku Scrub. It will hide in the grass if you get close to it. Bounce the nuts, it spits back at you. Get over here. Ow, ow, ow. Forgive me, Master. If I give you a clue, will you let me go? When you jump off a high cliff, if you hold control stick forward, you will roll on the ground when you land and won't get hurt from the fall. I can't guarantee it will work, though, if the cliff is really, really high. Well, try it if you're feeling bold. Deku Scrubs said that we're definitely, it's kind of funny, we had them in we had in this game, in Majora's Mask, and then they proceeded to disappear mostly from Zelda for quite a long time, until the recent Echoes of Wisdom. And they even have a whole village and like a story and things like that you encounter in that game, so it was fun to see them come back around for that. And they really did make climbing also like feel pretty natural in this game. Just in 3D, you walk towards it and you push up. It's pretty simple. And Navi, of course, can like point at yellow stuff is like enemies, blue stuff is of course people that you can talk to. But sometimes a Navi will highlight something that's green, like something like a hint or just something that's that you need to highlight there. Look, something is hanging up there. It looks like an old ladder. Well, thank you for the description. Yeah, but now we have a slingshot, and thus we have like an effective solution to our first problem we had. How do we climb up this vine? When do we have these skulltulas on the wall? Actually, I think they're called skullwatula. So they have the wall added to that there. No, I think that's might have been a common occurrence with a lot of Ocarina of Time players, but at this specific part of the game, this was legit jump scare. You know, like it's the enemy design in this game just has an overall like creepiness to it, and I'm excited to see how they may expand on those visuals in the remake there. It's really exciting to think about. You destroyed a gold skulltula. You got a token proving you destroyed it. And thus begins one of like Zelda's like biggest side quests, just finding every single gold skulltula in the game, which we'll learn more later about on this playthrough. We have some more things to find in this one. Thinking about all those Breath of the Wild players who then go on to play this game and they realize that, wait, jumping? There's not a jump button? And it's just interesting, you know, just that design choice specifically of not having a jump button. And they think, again, they did it specifically so that maybe just be able to use it for other things besides jumping. Because, like, platforming isn't really the emphasis of a Zelda game. It looks like that torch was burning not too long ago. Again, Navi gently pointing you in the direction that you're supposed to go, and think about the items that you have, and thus you have one of many torch lightings in this game, which again was kind of really an element that you'll often see in 3D Zelda moving forward. Now you're looking up here and you see down this whole pit down below, and you see that the game naturally encourages the solution here, which is kind of genius and it just has this nice, real tactile feeling to it. So it makes you wonder, like you see the heart, you see the web down there, and you wonder, like, what if I just jump out there? What if I just jump down onto that web and then this happens? And that is like really cool little environmental puzzle solving there. Even for just back then, just so like you making yourself feel so smart that you actually, if you're actually able to figure that out, then it's just really, really cool. And here, the game's teaching you here, oh, flames burn webs, just from stepping on the switch. And we have yet another gold Skulltula over here. Suggestion here, I'm going to say, like for the new one, allow like jumping upwards like we have in future 3D Zelda games, like even Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild, just the option to keep jumping upward. I'm not saying like a full-on stamina system or anything like that, but I think that could be a good idea. So when I was getting this new recording session ready here, I noticed the water. I think the water still looks really, really cool in this game, to where like you can kind of, if you look closely at it, you see there's one texture that's moving this way, and then another texture that's actually moving upwards. So it kind of creates like a cross motion effect that I think still looks pretty dang cool there. We have a web in our way, but the game has taught us a way that we can get rid of the webs. Another Deku Scrub.
Please forgive me, Master. I'll never do it again if you spare me. I'll teach you something cool. You will never beat my brothers up ahead unless you punish them in the proper order. The order is 2, 3, 1. 23 is number 1! Do you think I'm a traitor?
Now, that's kind of a funny little thing there. Like, even when I was a kid, when I saw that reference, 23 is number 1, I was thinking, well, what the heck is he talking about? I grew up in Illinois, and, like, I had to read in a Nintendo Power magazine, like, a suggestion in a comment, that, oh, maybe it's a reference to his favorite basketball players, Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls, who had number 23. So, that's a little bit of a reference for the time period there. At least for the though that kind of makes me wonder what the Japanese hint was, because it certainly wouldn't have referenced Michael Jordan.
After you get into the water, if you hold down A, you can dive. I bet there's some interesting things underwater.
And it's just interesting, where we have a game like Super Mario 64 that, like, emphasizes freedom of movement, both with jumping and with swimming, and then you have this game, which is just like, it's kind of more simplistic, limited actions as far as the things you can do with that. Well, just a straight forward jump, or like just a straight dive under the water. It's just interesting seeing that evolution where doing an adventure kind of game. And again, Navi the Fairy with her many, many tutorials. If you stand next to the block and press A while pressing throw stick towards the block, you can climb on top of it. And it's like, thank you for the lesson. I've played this game a few times. Although, I have to admit though, it has been quite a few years since I last beat it. And it's kind of fun though. You can actually get a Deku stick from like any a normal one that lunges at you if it hit at the right timing. But they also put in ones that are just like withered and like spinning around, so you can get an easy Deku stick from those ones. And now I believe in the original editions of The Legend of Zelda that the blood was red instead of the green that you see there. But again, just these super creepy enemy designs, these eggs that fall from the ceiling and get you. It definitely lends itself to like that theming at like the Deku Tree has been cursed and infected and hollowed out, and you see all these spider webs everywhere, and like it's kind of a bit of storytelling in and of itself there. And we have a big old wall right here, and we know that when we have suspicious looking walls, we need bombs to get them cleared. But we don't have bombs right now, so we shall have to come back. Again, love the ambience with the music. Just like a bunch of synthy little waves setting the atmosphere perfectly. Now, one thing I learned about is that with the game Banjo-Kazooie, that game, of course, was a graphical powerhouse for the Nintendo 64, one of the system's best-looking games. And Miyamoto saw what Rare was doing with Banjo-Kazooie, and it's like, we need to step up our game, everyone. Try to make this as pretty as we can, because I would say even some initial prototypes of this game, they just didn't quite look nearly as good as what we got right now, of course, with the various beta stages and all that. But the final product, they definitely use Rare as an inspiration to try to up their game, which I think is fantastic. And I didn't do it right there. You have to swing it directly or crouch. I think this works. There we go. And you use the Michael Jordan clue and do it in 2, 3, and 1.
How did you know our secret? How irritating. It's so annoying. I'm going to reveal the secret of Queen Goma to you. In order to administer the coup de grace, it's supposed to be coup de grace or coup de grace. I think they're mixing up the English and the French there. Coup de grace to Queen Goma. Strike with your sword while she's stunned. Oh, Queenie. Sorry about that. Here, have a heart.
And now we can see that, looking at our map, we see a skull on the other side, and we're going to now have our first boss fight of the game. And I pulled out my plug again. Oof. Lighting, atmosphere, it's on Link, and it's a dark shade of green. Oh man. But something else, I mean, like, even if you just don't go in quite yet and you look in, you can see there's something there on the ceiling, and it's glowing, it's draining the life of the Deku Tree. This is like an advanced infection. And it's all dark. Man, I'm really excited to see how they update these visuals. But even now, taking a look at it, we see just, man, you hear the crawling and you see the eye up there, so you just naturally get curious and you look up, and then boom, there it is. Parasitic armored arachnid Goma.
Goma is one of the parasitic monsters inside the Deku Tree. Its eye is vulnerable when it's red.
No, it definitely... They made a real creepy crawly here. Something that looks... That, you know, it is a previous Zelda enemy, but they updated in 3D to look like just creepy and just parasitic and all that stuff. And it even has some... Even, like, it can lay some eggs for us. Now, I could have had that fight over much sooner. At the point... Oh, shoot. Well, I'll go ahead and demonstrate it here. You can actually shoot it in the eye when it is about to drop its eggs. But where is it? Oh, shoot. I wasn't facing the right way. I'm going to have another round. We managed to keep them from hatching that time. And just like that, the fight, honestly, I could have gotten to finish sooner than I ended up doing there. But I need to rethink my setup. I really do. Drop my controller, pull my headphones out yet again. But that's a good first boss fight. Really good one. And even in terms of atmospheric and not in terms of challenge, one thing I would like to see in the remake is just an additional sense of challenge, you know, and to tweak the boss fights so that, you know, a little bit differently than we remembered. So maybe it's not quite the same, like, cakewalk for those who have played it before. But just the atmospherics alone is just so memorable. Well done, Link. Thou hast fairly demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. Now I have yet more to tell ye. Wouldst thou listen? Now listen carefully. A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. And thus we have another view of like a Ganondorf, who was introduced as a character in this one, but just like this evil man ceaselessly uses his vile sorcerer's powers in his search for the sacred realm that is connected to Hyrule. For it is in that sacred realm that one will find the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods. Lore and creation stories. Before time began, before spirits and life existed, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom. Pharaoh, the goddess of courage. Cinematics. Just the pure cinematics of it, just watching this back in 1998. This is just honestly legit good stuff. Din. With her strong flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the red earth. So it's like another variation of a creation story, but like instead of like, of course, like one biblical god making everything, we have like different gods, creating different elements of the earth's creation, which is it's just an interesting little spin on it. Pharaoh, with her rich soul, produced all life forms which would uphold the law. The three great goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens, and sacred triangles remained at the points where the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis of our world's providence, and the resting place of the triangles has become the sacred realm. Thou must never allow the desert man in black armor to lay his hands on the sacred Triforce. Thou must never suffer that man with his evil heart to enter the sacred realm of legend. That evil man who cast the death curse upon me and sapped my power. Because of that curse, my end is nigh. Though your valiant efforts to break the curse were successful, I was doomed before you started. Yes, I will pass away soon, but do not grieve for me. I have been able to tell you of these important matters. This is Hyrule's final hope. Link, go now to Hyrule Castle. There, thou would surely meet the Princess of Destiny. Take this stone with you, the stone that man wanted so much, he cast the curse upon me. And again, we have the beginning of like the adventure progression that Link to the Past started, where you have to find 3 shiny objects, a plot twist happens, and then you find more of a shiny object or thingamajig or a MacGuffin. You got the Kokiri's Emerald. This is the spiritual stone of the forest, now entrusted to you by the Great Deku Tree. The future depends upon thee, Link. Thou art courageous. Navi, the fairy, help Link to carry out my will. I entreat ye, Navi. Goodbye. It's sad. This is genuinely just sad. And he just dies, and dead leaves fall down. Let's go to Hyrule Castle, Link. Goodbye, Great Deku Tree. Man, right from the bat, just hitting you with death. I think Mido has something he wants to say. Hey, Link, what did you do? The Great Deku Tree, did he die? How could you do a thing like that? It's all your fault! And he just walks away. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be all the time we have for today's episode here, but I'll be playing more of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, giving my thoughts along the way, doing voices for characters. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and you all have an excellent and amazing day. Bye, everyone!